In the spring of 1891, workers repairing the floor of a small church in western Texas uncovered an iron box hidden beneath the foundation stones. The box was no larger than a man's lunch pail. Its lock had rusted shut decades earlier. When the workers finally forced it open, they expected coins, deeds, or perhaps old church records. Instead, they found 32 folded slips of paper. Every slip carried a single name. At first, the names meant nothing. Then someone recognized one. The name belonged to a notorious train robber who had disappeared 20 years earlier. Another name belonged to a murderer wanted across 3 states. Another belonged to a bank thief who had vanished while fleeing federal marshals. Within days, historians realized something astonishing. Every name on the list belonged to a criminal who had disappeared without explanation. Some had never been found. Some had never been arrested. Some had simply ridden away and vanished forever. But that wasn't the strangest part. Beside every name was a date. And every date matched the exact day that outlaw disappeared. The final slip carried no date. Only a name. A woman's name. The same woman investigators would eventually believe had written every other name on the list. And according to surviving records, she disappeared the day after writing it. Her name was Clara Hale. And for nearly 20 years she had been hunting something across the American frontier. Something nobody else seemed able to see. The first clues appeared after the Civil War. In 1871, a deputy marshal named Caleb Voss vanished while transporting a prisoner through the Indian Territory. The disappearance baffled authorities. The marshal never arrived at his destination. The prisoner never escaped officially. Both simply disappeared. Search parties found no bodies. No campfire. No signs of struggle. Only abandoned horses grazing beside a creek. The case remained unsolved. Years later, investigators examining the iron box discovered a second note folded behind Voss's name. 3 words had been written in neat handwriting. He wasn't first. The message suggested Voss had not been the beginning. He had been part of something already happening. Something somebody was tracking. As researchers dug deeper, they found scattered references to a woman traveling alone across Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Witnesses described her in remarkably similar terms. Tall. Quiet. Always dressed in black. Always riding alone. Most remembered her because she asked unusual questions. She never asked about towns. Never asked about weather. Never asked about cattle prices. She asked about people. Specific people. Usually dangerous men. Men with violent reputations. Men connected to robberies, killings, and disappearances. After she left town, those men often vanished. At first, authorities dismissed the stories as frontier gossip. Then more evidence surfaced. Newspaper archives revealed dozens of sightings spread across nearly 20 years. Different towns. Different witnesses. Same woman. Same questions. Same results. Nobody knew where she came from. Nobody knew where she lived. Nobody knew why she was searching for these men. But everyone remembered her. Because wherever she appeared, trouble followed. In 1934, another piece of the mystery emerged. A retired railroad accountant died in Kansas City. While sorting through his belongings, relatives discovered an old ledger. Most of the entries concerned railroad finances. Freight shipments. Maintenance costs. Payroll records. Nothing unusual. But hidden between ordinary accounting notes were coded entries. Researchers spent years deciphering them. When they finally succeeded, they uncovered something disturbing. The codes referred to secret payments. Large payments. Money transferred between businessmen, politicians, and known criminals. Bribes. Protection schemes. Land fraud. Witness intimidation. The ledger suggested certain outlaw gangs were not acting alone. They were working for powerful people. And one phrase appeared repeatedly throughout the coded notes. "The woman is asking questions again." The same phrase appeared dozens of times, year after year, always in connection with missing gang members. Whoever Clara Hale was, powerful people knew about her, and they feared what she might uncover. By the late 1940s, the mystery deepened further. Construction workers excavating land outside Amarillo discovered human remains buried beneath an abandoned ranch. The skeleton was eventually identified as Jacob Mercer, one of the names found inside the iron box. Mercer had vanished in 1878. Authorities had assumed he escaped to Mexico. Instead, he had been buried only a few miles from where he was last seen. Beside the skeleton, investigators found a sealed glass bottle. Inside was a note. The handwriting matched entries connected to Clara Hale. The note contained only 5 words. "You had a chance to stop." Nothing more. No explanation. No signature. No accusation. Just those words. The discovery transformed the investigation. For the first time, physical evidence connected Clara Hale directly to one of the disappearances. Yet the note created more questions than answers. Why had Mercer been targeted? What had he done? And why had somebody gone to such lengths to leave a message? Researchers eventually discovered that Mercer had worked for a railroad syndicate accused of forcing settlers off valuable land. Several witnesses who planned to testify against him had disappeared. The accusations were never proven. The case collapsed. Mercer walked free. Until he vanished. One by one, similar connections emerged. Nearly every name inside the iron box belonged to someone linked to corruption, violence, or unexplained deaths. Some were outlaws. Others wore respectable clothes and held respectable jobs. Yet the pattern remained consistent. People suffered. Investigations failed. Witnesses disappeared. Then eventually the responsible men vanished too. As decades passed, historians began uncovering evidence of a much larger network operating across the frontier. Railroad investors, land speculators, corrupt lawmen, professional gunmen. The network controlled enormous amounts of money. It influenced elections, manipulated courts, destroyed opponents. Most people never knew it existed. Those who discovered it rarely spoke publicly. Several disappeared before they could. And somehow Clara Hale appeared to be tracking all of them. In 1967, another breakthrough occurred. At a small estate sale in Oklahoma, a collector purchased an old map. The map looked ordinary, but faint pencil markings covered its surface. Researchers compared the markings with known disappearances. The results were extraordinary. Every mark corresponded to one of the names found inside the iron box. The map revealed routes, meeting locations, safe houses, and hidden trails. Whoever created it possessed detailed knowledge of criminal operations across 4 states. The map also pointed toward a remote property near the Red River. The property had once belonged to a man named Jeremiah Crow, the same man whose church foundation concealed the iron box. Investigators traveled to the site. Most structures had long since collapsed. But beneath the ruins of a cabin they discovered evidence of prolonged occupation. Maps, wanted posters, newspaper clippings, personal notes, names. Hundreds of names. Some crossed out. Some connected by lines. Some circled repeatedly. The cabin resembled the headquarters of a lifelong investigation. Every document pointed toward the same conclusion. Clara Hale had spent decades building a case. Not against one criminal. Against an entire system. Among the papers, investigators found references to a tragedy that may explain everything. In 1868, a small farming settlement disappeared after challenging a railroad land acquisition. Official records described a fire. Witnesses described something different. Armed men. Forced evictions. Violence. Several families vanished. Among the names of the missing appeared two people believed to be Clara Hale's parents. The discovery changed the entire story. Perhaps Clara wasn't hunting random outlaws. Perhaps she was hunting the people responsible for destroying her family. The evidence remained incomplete. But the theory fit the facts. For 20 years she followed trails others ignored. She connected crimes authorities refused to connect. She identified individuals protected by wealth and influence. And one by one they disappeared. Then researchers discovered the final document. Hidden beneath loose floorboards in the cabin was a weathered notebook. Most pages contained names and dates. But the last page contained only 32 names. 31 were crossed out. One remained untouched. It wasn't an outlaw. It wasn't a businessman. It wasn't a politician. It was Clara Hale. Below the name she had written 3 words. I know now. Nothing else. No explanation. No final statement. Just those words. According to surviving accounts, Clara was seen for the last time in late autumn. Several witnesses remembered the encounter. She appeared calm. Peaceful even. One store owner later recalled that she looked like a woman who had finally solved a puzzle. She purchased supplies. Fed her horse. Thanked the owner. Then rode south. She never returned. No grave was found. No death certificate exists. No confirmed record appears after that day. She simply vanished. Just like so many names on her list. Historians still debate what happened. Some believe she died in the wilderness. Some believe she assumed a new identity. Others believe she discovered something so disturbing that she chose to disappear completely. The final mystery concerns the last name in the iron box. Her own. Why did she place it there? Why leave it uncrossed? Why write I know now beneath it? One theory suggests Clara finally realized her hunt had never been about revenge. It had been about understanding. Understanding how corruption, power, violence, and fear could shape entire lives. Understanding how ordinary people became monsters. Understanding how victims sometimes become hunters. Perhaps after 20 years she discovered something about herself that frightened her more than any outlaw ever could. Or perhaps she simply understood that every hunt eventually reaches the same destination. The hunter becomes part of the story. The iron box remains one of the strangest frontier discoveries ever recorded. 32 names. 31 crossed out. 1 left standing. And somewhere beneath forgotten records, abandoned trails, and vanished histories, the truth about Clara Hale may still be waiting to be found.